Hello and welcome to the Crochet Business School podcast. I'm Kelly Thomas, the Crochet Profit Queen, and I'm going to show you how you can make a living from your crochet while avoiding the burnout and being able to make what you want and when you want. Have you signed up to the Crochet Business School newsletter yet? Don't forget to do that now at crochetbusinessschool.com/subscribe and get tips and free resources straight to your inbox. Are you really putting the effort in? And this might feel like I'm blaming or calling out, but this is something I'm guilty of myself. And I'm guilty of doing it more often than I care to admit. Because if you are doing things online, if you are crocheting as a hobby as well as a business, it's really easy to tell yourself that you're putting so much effort into your business while not actually doing much to move it forward at all. So, what do I mean? If you're online, especially if you're on social media, it's really easy to tell yourself that you're on social media and working, when in actual fact, you're procrastinating and scrolling through other people's content, telling yourself you're looking for ideas, telling yourself that you're looking to put yourself in front of your ideal customer, but you're not actually doing anything. You're not posting, you're not commenting, you're really just scrolling. That's procrastination. There's no actual work going on, we're just making excuses. I do this all the time, and it's a habit that can be quite hard to break unless you're really conscious of it. Another thing that you can be doing is crocheting. And we tell ourselves, this is for work, this is business stuff, when you might actually be making Christmas gifts for your family. That excuse can work if you are creating a pattern that you're going to release at the same time, because then you are making the pattern. You're going to get photos of it before you gift it. But if you actually never release that pattern, what were you actually doing with that time? Yeah, it wasn't work. It was what you wanted to do. And yeah, we can do all these things that actually we want to do rather than it's work. Because let's face it, if you're running a business, you need to work. And if you're telling yourself you're working without actually doing anything that's going to make a profit or grow your business, then you're not actually working. You're not really putting that effort in. We're just telling ourselves what we are to make ourselves feel better for what we're doing in that moment. I am guilty of this in spades. I've done this plenty over the years. Because, especially if you're doing it part-time, around a full-time job, around caring for your kids, around family commitments, looking after your home, whatever it is, we need time to relax. We need time for our brains to deal with the day's events and just rest. But if you're trying to do all this and put business hours in, our minds just can't do it. They need to turn off. Running your own business can be scary, and so we procrastinate and we do that scrolling thing because we're afraid of making ourselves visible, because if you're visible, you can be judged. It's scary. And so we do these things because our brains need to rest. We do these things because we're afraid of what other people will think, what other people will say. We do them because we're not organised, because suddenly we have time, but there's no plan, and we kind of panic and go, what can I do? And you fall into this scrolling or crocheting because you're telling yourself it's work. There's a whole host of reasons why we do these things that we tell ourselves are for our business, but are actually not doing anything for our business. And it's really easy to do. You kind of consciously have to get yourself out of it. You consciously have to beat the fear. You consciously have to make sure you build in time that you can rest so your brain can actually function in your business. You need to put a conscious effort into creating a plan so when you do have time, you know what you're going to do with it. We need to have all these things in place. You need to know why you're not working but telling yourself that you are. It takes a bit of self-diagnosis. You have to have an honest conversation with yourself and ask yourself why you're doing these things, and then try and come up with a plan to stop them. Because I can give the ideas, I can give the information, but you have to action it. Things don't change just because you know why they're happening. They change because you make the effort to stop them from happening. And you really have to analyze what you're doing with your time. I mean, I can spend ages on Pinterest telling myself I'm looking for new stitches, but really I'm just scrolling. I mean, one of my favourite things is to discover new stitches, which is great and may benefit my business in the future, but right there and then, do I need to be doing that? Probably not. We scroll through Facebook telling ourselves that we're looking for business opportunities. We're looking for people we can help, for people we can sell our patterns to, looking for new groups to advertise in. Do you actually need to be doing those things right there and then? Probably not. Because if you don't have a plan straight away, you got issues. And that's the way of it. Yes, looking for new places to advertise your crochet is great, but you don't need to be advertising in every group under the sun. You only need 5 groups, because any more than that and you're kind of just posting and running, which doesn't work. You need to interact in those groups. You need to get yourself known, and that means concentrating on a few small groups. Well, not small groups, on a few groups for the time you have. I mean, if it's the right niche, a small group is fine. For patterns, larger groups might be better, but you kind of have to test that out. But if you're looking for new groups, but you aren't putting the effort into the ones you're already in, well, you don't need to be looking for new places to advertise, do you? Same on Instagram. If you're telling yourself you're looking for new hashtags, but you're already using about 20 in every post, well, are you sure you need to be looking for new hashtags? Or do you just need to be taking a look at which ones are actually working for you right now? Looking for new things, it seems like a great idea, but unless we know what is or is not working already, it's not going to do much good. Creating videos for your social media, on the surface, great, but if you're creating videos for video's sake with no plan on what they're doing for you, is it really what you need to be doing? We spend so much time looking for this new magic bullet that's going to solve our issues, is going to, suddenly skyrocket our business into the stratosphere. But unless you are actually basing that on data, on your analytics, on past engagement, what works well, what doesn't, unless you're basing it on some sort of fact, then looking for something new is just avoiding doing the work. So we tell ourselves we are busy. We are tell ourselves we're putting hours every week into our crochet business, trying to get that goal that we need to achieve. But if you really break it down, are you really doing all that work? I would suggest not. We all do it. Actually, writing down what you spend your time doing can really expose how bad the problem is. Now, for some people, it's not that bad. And if you're only doing it a little bit, you're fine. You just need to take a look at what is and what isn't working and change things up a bit. But if you are spending an awful lot of time doing these busy but not busy things, it's really going to impact how successful your business is, because the reality is you're not putting that much time into it. Might be a hard thing to hear, but sometimes we need to be called out on these things to see that there is an issue. It's about knowing what works and what doesn't in your business, because different things will work for different people. So what works for one person will not work for someone else. It's about having a plan, so you know what you're supposed to be doing each and every day and sticking to it. You have to treat your business like it's non-negotiable, like it's a day job. You go to work to 9 to 5, and if you don't put the effort in, you're going to get fired. You have to treat it like that, otherwise you're going to remain a hobby business. And a hobby business isn't a business, it's just something that makes you a bit of extra cash. And if that's your goal, well, you could probably be earning that extra cash without putting as many hours as you feel you are right now. It all comes down to efficiency and getting the best return on your investment. It's also about being honest with yourself and, really knowing how much effort you're putting into this. But if you feel that you're struggling for time and getting nowhere, then this is something that you definitely should be looking at. It really is. It's too easy to feel like we're working when we're not. It's too easy to get caught up doing things that make us feel like we're busy, but actually we're just sat there doing nothing. Technology now, at our hands, in our phones, makes it really easy to get distracted and turn away from what we actually need to be doing. You can be scheduling posts for your social media on your phone 1 minute, and the next minute you're stuck watching cat videos, or in my case, parrot videos for some strange reason. But that's how it is, because these platforms want us to stay there. They want us to consume as much of the content as possible. And so they put some serious effort into trying to distract us. So you've got to work out what your best productivity method is. For me, it's about putting my phone down. As convenient as it is to run my business off my phone, and as much as I would prefer to do that, it's so much easier for me to get distracted using my phone than it is by getting my computer out. So I have to remind myself to put the phone down and go get the computer out, go sit at my desk and get working, properly working. Because I know my phone is my biggest distraction. I know that if I don't have a list of tasks that I can do when I have a spare 20 minutes, that I'm going to waste that 20 minutes. So I have a to-do list that I can grab at any time and get something useful done. Otherwise, I will probably end up procrastinating on Pinterest or scrolling through Facebook. And that time is gone that I could have used, and I will kick myself for it later. You need to learn what does and doesn't work for you and put these strategies in place to help yourself, to really make your time count, and to actually be putting that effort in, to actually be putting that time into your crochet business to move it forward instead of wasting it and not realize you're wasting it at the time. And that does mean being honest with yourself about what you're actually doing, which can be harder than you think. So I hope this has given you something to think about. And don't forget, the Facebook group is here if you do need to come and ask questions or ask for help with anything. The link is in the show notes. Thank you for listening today, and I shall see you next time for the next episode. Bye for now.